Good day, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Briareo Skerensky and welcome to the review of Todokero, Tatakae, Calamity Angels, the latest game by Idea Factory and Compile Heart. Right now this is only available in Japan, but an international release has already been scheduled for an unspecified month, at the time of this writing, of 2025 for PS4, PS5 and Switch with the name of Calamity Angels Special Delivery. This review is based on the Switch version. Set in a fantasy world of magic and monsters, Calamity Angels ask the question: how does the postal service work in such a place? The delivery guild is in charge of parcels. Their delivery party is composed by 3 guards escorting one postman who carries the parcel and acts as the party leader. Your character is Yuri, a novice postman who gets assigned to Team Cute Angel, a hodgepodge group of guards that is better known with the nickname of Calamity Angel. Why? Well, this connects to the game's primary mechanic, but before that, let's say something nice about the game. Yes, this is one of those Idea Factory games. Graphics are bright and colorful, with a good number of animations during battles and cutscenes. The character design for primary and secondary cast is varied and nice to look at. The game is fully voiced with the exception of random NPCs at the end of a quest, and the voice actors do a great job in complementing the graphics. The game is mercifully short, about 12 or so hours if you go for the minimum required number of quests to increase your postman rank, and therefore progressing through the story. There is even endgame content should you want to increase karma in your current life.
歯ごたえのねえ連中だぜ。
Now, let's get to everything else. Yuri and her companions must first accept a delivery task from the quest board. This will define the parcel you have to carry, where and how much time you have. Parcels and items like healing potions all go into Yuri's bag of holding, which will grow in capacity at every rank up. Cute Angels start at rank E, and you reach all the way up to rank SS to complete the story. Here you will experience one of the interface's many quirks. After placing the parcel in your bag, the game will automatically go back to the main menu, forcing you to go to the bag management screen should you want to add more support items. This might not sound like much, but Calamity Angels likes to load. Every menu, overworld map or location requires a loading screen. Loading screen for accessing the party setup menu. The item bag needs one. Getting back to the previous menu of course will trigger another. Basically anything that has graphics brings a few seconds of loading screen with it, common in unoptimized games done in Unity. You can even have an awkward second of nothing after pressing a button to exit a menu and a character saying their farewell line. Note the lag between the sound effect for a button input and the dialogue. This gives the impression of the interface being laggy. The party is composed by Yuri and 3 other people. The starters are Somnia, the sword woman, Ivoris, the mage, and Surea, the treasure-loving cleric. Soon they will be joined by Numero, the alchemist, Selma, the armored lancer, and Luminas, the archer idol. All of them have their own set of skills and reaction speed, indicated by the red, yellow or blue arrow next to their portrait. There is no battle formation and party members can only be changed at the post office. Items are purchased at the local store and there isn't much variety. HP potions, SP potions, revival potions, status potions, the usual JRPG stock, and don't bother buying anything but HP and revival potions. At every rank up you get new weapons and armors. Every character gets one weapon and armors are clearly marked with magic or physical attack bonuses. Another quirk of the interface. The game doesn't ask if you want to equip new stuff, you have to do it by hand in its own menu. Remember what I said about loading screens?
うちの出番か?
Locations take the form of board game-like maps, with party movement limited by the roll of a six-sided dice. You always have to spend all movement points, though there are event tiles that will stop you in your tracks. Unfortunately, any leftover movement points will be forfeit after reaching one of those tiles, including those that shouldn't, like gates. All tiles will trigger something, being it a bonus, malus or battle. Some maps, like Volcano Land, only have maluses and battles and even limit your movement dice to 1 and 2. In fact, half of the locations will cut your movement dice to 1 and 2, which is more annoying than anything. The time limit you are running against is more than enough in most missions, and after delivering your parcel, you are free to explore maps as you see fit, but still constrained by the movement dice. Maps are static, you cannot open shortcuts, tiles will always feature the same effect, and forks in the road are often of the same length with just a different set of events, like a choice between more battles or poison tiles. World locations are connected, but those connections open up according to story progression and they don't really work as shortcuts. During my playthrough, I only failed to deliver on time twice. Luckily, this didn't trigger a game over, only a malus that I don't think had any effect on the current mission or story progression. In both cases, I failed because it was the first time on a map with a limited movement dice and gates that I didn't know where they'd lead me. One wrong turn and delivery on time failed. The only active element on location maps, besides your party, are male demons. Some only advance one tile per dice roll, others multiple. They don't chase Yuri and Co around, neither you are required to defeat them, they are just there, on the map, following their pattern. Defeating them does give some delivery time back, but in later stages they are way too far from the best route that you'd spend more time tracking them down than what you'd get back. Stepping into battle will give you direct control over the party. Yuri doesn't have an active part in battle except dispensing items at the end of a turn. The actual fighting is done by the 3 members selected at the start of the quest. All characters can guard, something I've never done throughout the game, and have an exclusive selection of standard and special actions. Defeat all enemies, which have the usual assortment of elemental and physical weaknesses, and the battle is won, rewarded with experience, money and sometimes items. Fair enough, but let's get into more detail. See this rabbit lady with large witch hat, broom and giant Iron Man-like gauntlet? She is Ivoris. Ivoris commands the very fabric of reality through her magic, able to shape the elements with a simple thought. Only that she doesn't like to use magic, she likes to punch things. Move the cursor over her standard action menu, physical attacks, and you get this. Move to the special action menu, magic, and she'll be like this. That's the likelihood of Ivoris following your orders, and that goes for every character. If everything goes well, characters will do what asked. If they don't feel like, they will either do something else or ignore the order entirely. Going back to Ivoris, instead of a spell she might punch a random enemy, not even the target you want, thus prolonging the fight and creating scorn in her companions and you. And what happens when a witch punches a rock golem? All characters work like this. Selma doesn't like to attack enemies with her lance, but likes to increase her defenses. Numero likes to throw alchemic potions to enemies, but loathes the idea of buffing allies. Somnia would rather sleep than attacking enemies, and so on. You can improve morale by issuing orders they like, using items, or by having Luminous sing, but that doesn't mean squat. Characters will pass on their favorite orders if they feel like they are boring, and that can have dire consequences for your patience. Not for the battle. There was no point in the game where I was low on resources, whether HP, SP or healing items, and enemies never felt too difficult or even challenging. The only real difficulty comes from the party that might or might not follow your orders, and in all battles I was hoping characters will perform one of their random, unique actions to end things faster.
お願いだからちゃんとして。
ここで実験でも始めるか。ふんふん。
These special actions can be triggered by an event, like getting hit hard enough, but most of the times are completely random. Sorry if I keep using that word. Let's take Numero as an example. He likes to experiment on things, and his cloak is a living organism called Numegi. Numero's most common random special action is a roulette that can bestow bonuses, maluses, healing or sudden death to him, the party, the enemy or everyone. And I mean everyone. I cannot define the feeling you get when a roulette, which feels skewed against you, results in all enemies completely healed or everyone but one party member dead. The random nature of everything is the main battle mechanic, but also the one mechanic that makes battles infuriating. Another example. Wolves call allies when low on health. In a battle against 4 wolves, I somehow make the party kill 2 of them, with the other 2 on the brink of defeat. Everyone decides that the battle hasn't gone long enough and refuse their orders. A wolf summons 3 allies and the other 1. Insults fly from my mouth. An excruciating 5 minutes later, I'm down to 1 wolf again, and again the party goes, nah. 1 more wolf summoned. This battle was during the first third of the map and took more than 10 minutes to clear, between attacks that missed, party members that refused orders, and wolves' high HPs. With so many random battle events, there are some I don't really know what they do. Numero can summon a poison cloud as a special attack, but all that cloud does is sit in the background, looking menacing. Numero's cloak can act on its own, and I think it tries to absorb enemies, but that triggered 3 times in my playthrough and failed every single time. Luminous can turn into a spider. What does that spider do? I don't know. She acts last and always transformed at the end of the turn before I completed those battles. If you are curious about battles against male demons, they are the same as standard battles. The only difference is that Yuri will stamp them out with a hair mallet after the party defeated them. If battles look chaotic in the video, it's because I kept them at 2.5 speed for most of the game. Animations might be cute, but you are watching them over and over, some take an ungodly amount of time to complete and are unskippable. The speed multiplier does reduce the time spent in battles, but opens up another problem. Voices. You get audio feedback for pretty much everything, and the game doesn't stop characters from talking over others or themselves, even when they are repeating the same line twice in a row. Battles at increased speed become a cacophony of voices and sound effects, and should the same sound effect happen multiple times at once, its intensity is added together. When the battle is won, characters talk over each other. This is a mess you get accustomed to, but one that was easily avoidable.
俺の足を引っ張るんじゃねえぞ。俺の足を引っ張るんじゃねえぞ。
There are a lot of games that stack odds against you. XCOM, Darkest Dungeon, or even Mistover, but while those titles walk the fine line between challenging and frustrating more or less successfully, Calamity Angels stumbles hard, and every single fight is met with a sigh and a roll of eyes, as you don't know how long it will last. And again, the only difficulty is to make your party follow your orders. Statuses like poison or burn have negligible effects, you don't have to sacrifice someone's turn for healing, and the vast majority of enemy attacks are single target. And against the two bosses in the game that aren't simply larger standard enemies, this whole mechanic is thrown to the wind. Characters will pretty much do what they're told. There is no real grinding, character stats are linked to the team's rank, and you won't advance until you have completed the single mandatory story mission associated with your current grade.
私皆さんをお守りしたいのですがヘビは無理やっぱり無理ですやれやれ
Going through this game was boring, annoying, irritating. You would expect a modicum of item management, but there is none. The first Resident Evil had more of that. Parcels are marked as fragile or perishable, but that only affects your delivery time. Location maps don't have any peculiar mechanic associated to them, if not for the limited movement dice. You don't want to battle because you don't know how much time you spend against enemies that, yes, can harm the party, but never feel threatening. Most bosses are just larger version of standard enemies, and even the last boss feels more like an HP sponge than a real threat. Characters do have their own set of unique skills, but you'll soon gravitate towards those with the most stable damage output, ignoring buffs. What good a buff is if the receiving character doesn't act. Right after I completed the main story and quit the game for the last time, a patch dropped. I don't know what was changed. I've never experienced any crashes, and I don't really want to spend any more time with the game. But I will say this. Calamity Angel's Special Delivery is not the worst Idea Factory title I've played. The very first Neptunia on PS3, Time and Eternity, and Gangan Pixies on Vita are much worse. I would say Calamity Angels stay in the mediocre range. Just barely, and it's a lesser experience than Genkai Tokki 7 Pirates. But yeah, skip this. I hope you have enjoyed this review and you'll stick around for more.
なんでだよ
Briare Oskarensky, over and out.